Welcome to the F-Words webinar series. My name is Andrea Cross and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at McMaster University at CanChild Center for Childhood Disability Research. I have a kinesiology background from Wilfrid Laurier University, and I also have an education background. Today we'll be talking about the F-word, fitness.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Cook. I'm a registered early childhood educator. I'm also a member of the Physical Literacy Champions Network in the region of Peel. The Physical Literacy Champions Network is a community initiative whose mission is to bring together individuals who value physical literacy and physical activity to support and encourage one another in championing physical literacy in the early years setting.
This is one of 7 webinars on the F-words in childhood disability. These webinars describe how the F-words can be used with children from 0 to 6 years of age. The F-words provide a broad, strengths-based approach to child development and are based on the World Health Organization's International Classification of Functioning, Disability, and Health framework. To learn more about the F-words, we encourage you to read Dr. Rosenbaum and Dr. Gorder's F-words in Childhood Disability, I Swear This Is How We Should Think paper that is published on the CanChild website. Fitness fits within the ICF element of body structure and function. Body structures are the anatomical parts of the body, such as organs, limbs, and their components. Body functions are the physiological functions of the body systems, including our psychological functions. Fitness is emphasized in the F-words framework as an important part of body structure and function, as everyone needs to stay fit and healthy to keep our bodies nice and strong. Today's webinar will focus on fitness and what fitness means to children under the age of 6. So what do we mean when we're talking about fitness? Fitness refers to physical activity, any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscles that results in using energy. Within the early developmental years, physical activity is referred to more as locomotor play or activity. For example, building a sandcastle on the slide here could be an example of locomotor play and activity. In the early years, tummy time or reaching and grasping are examples of activity. Fitness can look different throughout the lifespan, and play is a primary means of physical activity in the early childhood years.
In the early years, children engage in movement naturally through play. Infants engage in interactive floor-based tummy time. So as educators, we need to encourage rolling over, reaching, stretching, pulling their bodies forward and backwards. Place interesting objects inches away from the child to encourage these movements. Toddlers engage in moving around from one place to another, climbing, crawling under furniture, dumping materials. So provide materials and equipment in the environment that supports these skills. Where the preschool child naturally engages in various fundamental movement skills, crawling, balancing, throwing, jumping, catching, and running. It is important as educators that we provide a variety of experiences for children to explore and practice these skills throughout the day in a child care setting. Growing research shows us that the benefits of movement in one's life has endless positive outcomes. So as an educator, you can contribute to our future society following a lifestyle that includes health and well-being. So let's start in the early years by embedding movement in fun ways throughout the daily routine. These are general guidelines from Canadian Society for Exercise and Physiology. In the early year programs, movement and physical activity doesn't just have to happen at outdoor time. Be creative, think out of the box. Make physical activity part of every routine in your program. For instance, transition times. Instead of walking to the cubby room to get dressed for outdoor time, why not encourage the group to get down on all fours and crawl like bears? Educators as well. Modeling and showing enthusiasm encourages everyone to join in, and most of all, it makes it fun. As a parent or caregiver, you can also promote fitness by doing activities together, such as walking or biking, dancing, or even learning a sport together like skating. Young children follow by lead. If the adults in their lives are active, that's what they learn. Remember, being active, it's good for both of you.
The benefits of physical activity are universal for all children, including those with disabilities. However, research shows that children with disabilities are less fit than they should be. This speaks to the crucial need for recreational opportunities and for a health promotion orientation to children's lives. The first and most important thing to do is to find out what the children want to do for physical activity. The Ability Toolkit is an adapted version of the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines for children with disabilities, which takes into consideration a child who has a disability and provides adapted versions of all activities. For example, in the STEP category, a child who does not move their lower half of the body other sports can be considered steps. For example, wheeling around in their wheelchair, using a hand bike. For the SWET category, which involves both moderate to vigorous activity, there's lots of different sports that are either inclusive or can be adapted in order for children to participate in and get activity within the SWET category. Let's do this one again. On this slide, we're providing an example of an adapted activity. So in this case, adapted soccer. For children who may need sensory adaptations, so for instance, a child with a visual impairment, we could use an audible ball that has bells in it, so whenever the ball is being kicked, you could hear the ball going around the soccer field. The whistle would also provide another auditory cue for an individual with visual impairment. For a child with a hearing impairment, visual cues could be used. So for instance, red flags or a larger ball, a bright color, all of those could be helpful in making the game more inclusive. For children who require mobility adaptations, we could modify the length of the game, making it shorter. We could adjust the size of the playing area, again, maybe making the soccer court smaller or making the net larger. We can use smaller or lighter balls, or even use a larger ball so it's easier to kick. We asked a therapeutic recreation assistant from Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital how they adapt games and activities for children. One of the recreational therapists gave the example of Mr. Wolf. We often change rules to traditional games by making them inclusive by taking an everyone wins approach. In the game, What Time Is It, Mr. Wolf? Even if a child makes it to the end before the wolf says lunchtime, everyone runs back to the start. We also get creative with our other equipment, like using a pool noodle to help the person who is it to tag others in a game like line tag or octopus. We are constantly adapting the environment to support everyone. We also asked a sibling what fitness means to her and her brother who has a disability. My brother is in a wheelchair, so fitness is pretty big. We do a lot of things with him to keep active, like swimming, walking in a field or park, tricycle, horseback riding, and he joined our Baseball Miracle League in Ottawa that allows wheelchairs on the baseball diamond. Because he is nonverbal, he can't tell us when he wants to move. But when you offer him the choice to do something active, his smile says it all. On this slide, we're featuring another all-inclusive physical activity recreational opportunity. Ron Joyce Children's Health Centre in Hamilton, Ontario provides a range of services to children, youth, and adults in our region, many of whom are dealing with lifelong health issues. The center's programs include autism spectrum disorder services, developmental pediatrics and rehabilitation, prosthetics and orthotics, and child and youth mental health. On the slide here is a newspaper article on an inclusive cheer squad program at Ron Joyce Health Centre that is run by some former TICAT cheerleaders. There are nearly 50 children enrolled in this squad, and the TICAT cheerleaders coach them through weekly practices. Knowing that the children are going to be performing at the Tiger Cats game gave the children great motivation and lots of fun to participate in this program. The Danceability Movement is another inclusive physical activity program for children with all abilities. Currently, they have 6 locations in Ontario: Milton, Mississauga, Ancaster, Alliston, Bradford, and Richmond Hill. They provide a range of dance classes from tap to jazz to ballet, and they have children as well as adults participating in their programs. On the right-hand side here, you can see their logo for the Danceability Movement, and at the center of it are the F words. The F words are really a driving force behind their program, as they believe that all the F words are important for all children.
There are various resources that are available that have a variety of physical literacy activity ideas. The CDRCP Resource Library has a physical literacy toolkit available to borrow, or you can create your own activity kit yourself, filled with basic open-ended materials for children to explore freely, or you can find them at home or purchase inexpensively. For example, sponges and bath puffs for throwing. Add a large cup with a wide opening and encourage children to throw the items into the cup. This creates more of a challenge. The role of the educator is to encourage the children to engage and provide opportunities to use the materials in different ways to further develop early fundamental movement skills. The Participation website provides several resources and activities, such as the Physical Literacy Social Media Kit, which provides strategies to adapt activities and sports. Build Your Best Day website tool to brainstorm in creating age-appropriate activities, or there's Active for Life, which also provides great activities for physical literacy resources for the early years. If you are an early childhood educator or work in the early years programs in the region of Peel and you are interested in becoming a physical literacy champion, contact CDRCP for more information. And thank you for watching this webinar on fitness.